Hooty hoo, gamers! Welcome to an all-new Have You Played? Today we're checking out my review of Dave Man. Dave Man is kind of like if Pac-Man had RPG elements, but not like that actual Pac-Man RPG. This is more like classic arcade style maze dot collecting, or in this case, coffee bean collecting, mixed with that sort of quirky, self-aware humor and sincerity you'd find in a game like the Mother series. Dave is a simple guy. He wakes up late for work every day and prioritizes getting a fresh cup of coffee over everything else. To get that cup of coffee, Dave has to avoid annoying coworkers. If he succeeds, he performs well at his job and takes home some pay. If he fails, his work suffers and he goes home without any pay. Dave needs money to buy stuff because he's 30 days away from retirement and he doesn't want to be bored for the rest of his life. He spends a lot of time online shopping, but he has to be careful with his purchases. His wife is going to get rid of the computer once Dave retires, so he needs to buy everything he wants while he still has the time to do so. The audio and visuals feel like a cross between the Game Boy and the NES, with some really charming and finely crafted pixel art all throughout the game. I could forgive someone for mistakenly writing this off as some sort of overly simplistic retro throwback indie game, but there's really a lot more going on here if you take the time to dig in. Dave Man has a thing going on that I've seen in some indie games, where the game itself is almost more like a zine or a chapbook, accompanied by a familiar or relatively simple gameplay mechanic. That gameplay mechanic is what helps the title fulfill its role as a game, but the real meat in these sorts of projects is the writing and presentation. There is a ton of really fun, creative writing all throughout this game, and in order to read it, you need to interact with the world and complete objectives. The desire to explore the creativity on display in Dave Man is what drives you to succeed at the Pac-Man style gameplay found between these reading sessions. While you do try to avoid your annoying coworkers, some coworkers can be found at the water cooler, and approaching them allows you to safely engage in conversation. You can shoot the shit, learn about new websites to order new stuff from, or trade quest items. Yes, there are some quests in the game. How you treat people and how you spend your time and money in Dave Man all gets recapped at the end of the game, which kinda reminded me of the ending montages you'd get for Fallout 1 and 2. There's something surprisingly powerful about taking on the role of a person trudging through the mundanity of their final month of work, faced with the unknown of retirement and the looming threat of death, and responding to all that with doing as much online shopping as possible. It's funny, but it's sad. I had Dave Man on my Steam wishlist for a while before finally picking it up, but I'm really glad I did. You can play through the story mode in about 90 minutes, but there's definitely a whole lot more to explore on subsequent playthroughs if you enjoy the writing, tone, and visual style. I know this kind of game really isn't for everybody, but in my opinion, Dave Man is a really fun and unique game that is definitely worth your time. Well, Andrew, I have to ask you now, contractually speaking, I have to ask, have you played Dave Man?
No, I've never seen or played Dave Man.
I don't know how it wound up on my radar. I saw a preview of it a very long time ago. I believe it's developed by a single indie dev named, well, he goes by Lou Bagel.
Okay.
And I follow him on Twitter, and I have been aware of this project and a couple others that he's been involved with. He does some cool pixel art stuff. And I saw Dave Man on sale after I put it on my wish list when I first saw the trailer. And then I picked it up and I was like, I just spent an afternoon with it and it was just a fun game.
In my ripe old age, I've found that more so than ever, I'm more into smaller, well-polished games than I used to be when I was younger. I spent a majority of my life playing games. I've played gigantic open-world MMO experiences, World of Warcraft, Elder Scrolls, Fallout. That's what I spent a lot of my time, almost most of my gaming time doing. But there's something that's really catching me about these kind of smaller experiences by comparison that are whole and like have a start, have an end, and have a lot of content for you to explore through without endless possibilities, and they don't feel like they're trying to make you play the game forever. So I feel like if I saw this game, it wouldn't immediately catch my eye. But with having somebody show me, I'd be like, oh, hey, that looks kind of cool. That might be something I'm into. it seems like a blend, like you mentioned. It's kind of like Pac-Man with kind of RPG elements. Sort
Yeah,
of.
and it's
With no clear. It's not just like beat the level. It's like the goal, right? There's no like. Are there multiple endings?
yeah, so to speak. The ending actually really caught me off guard. I don't want to spoil it for anyone, but like
Okay.
it does, it does end, and there is, I mean, almost, you know, to bring up like you said, Fallout. Like I think in the first 2 Fallout games at least, all of your actions in Fallout are, you do that little montage where it says like, and these people that you influenced went on to do this thing, and they show how everything you did throughout the game plays out.
Shows
you know,
how many rad scorpions you killed.
well, no, but you know, all those different decisions that you got to make, it shows like how they played out and what happened. And a very similar thing happens at the end of Dave Man, where like some of these things that you thought maybe were just inconsequential, the full scope of it becomes apparent to you at the end. And I don't know, it's just like a fun little experience, and the writing is really funny and quirky and unique, and it's clear that this person, to me at least, you know, they may see this and say otherwise, and if so, fuck you, all right? No, it's clear to me that this person had a lot of different creative ideas they wanted to share, and it's cool that video games are a format where they can share their writing, their storytelling, their pixel art, and everything all in one. And the coding itself is also an art form. You know what I mean? It's just cool that like there can be these auteur games that work because they're like a clearly defined experience with a start and end. And there is an arcade mode. There's other ways you can, you know, continue to play, but it's just cool that that's even an option for people who want to express themselves.
There's not many other mediums aside from video games that you can explore a different path for a story. You can't watch Thor 2 and, you know, have the outcome be different. It's finished. It's baked in.
Yeah, I mean, I have seen some of those pornos where it's like, you know, decide if you want to like choose this position or go like, you know, in this hole, but that's not really the same thing.
It's similar. That's why I said most things. That is what I was thinking of. So it's cool that, and this is a lot more broad than just Dave Man, but it's cool. It's especially from a writing perspective. You're like, oh man, I don't know if I want the dog to get hit by the car here, or if he gets murdered by a chainsaw later.
Yeah, how can we inflict this animal abuse?
Like, how best is it to do this? And with a game like Dave Man, you even if it is just like a picture with some text at the end, you can explore both of those options, and it's like reading a book. You know what I mean? You still get the full experience in your mind. So I think the old me would see Dave Man and probably not be interested, but I don't know. I have a lot of appreciation for that kind of storytelling and games that aren't primarily focused on gameplay. It doesn't seem like that's the main part of Dave Man. It seems like it's an element, but it doesn't seem like it's a fruitless, pointless, like, there's a lot of times in like The Last of Us and a lot of like those narrative-driven games where I like those games a lot and I enjoy it, and I don't think the gameplay is bad, but you know, you get to the waist-high walls and you're like, okay, I gotta fight some guys, but I really want to know what's the next part in the story, and you're only doing it to get to the next point. Sometimes I'm like, this would be a better movie than it is a game.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying that about any game in specific, mind you, but sometimes. So,
yeah, I know what you mean.
I'd say Dave Man is better than The Last of Us.
Okay, well, you've heard it here first.
I think Naughty Dog should take some pointers from Dave Man and Lou Bagel.
Yeah, well, I can endorse that statement, and I can also endorse the statement, subscribe to Hidden Machine. That's right. Give this video a like, a thumbs up if you will. Let us know what you've been playing lately in the comments if you'd like. And if you want to see more reviews from myself and Andrew, well, they come out all week long, and the best place to see them is probably on our YouTube channel. You could hack into our computers and check out the raw files, but I would ask you not to do that, please.
Sometimes we do quick renders just to, like, you know, get the thought out, and they're low quality.
Yeah. Bye.
All right.